This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Well, hello and welcome to the Research Talks podcast here on Stockbox with Alan Green. Alan, it's good to be back talking to you. Everything good? How are you doing?
Yes, I'm really good, thanks, Mark, and welcome back to you too. You know, that was a great series of videos and a tour of the Zulu Lithium project at with George and Premier African Minerals. I mean, that was really quite something. So how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, I got back yesterday, so I had a bit of a rest yesterday, but back on it today with interviews and, of course, recording the podcast with you. But yeah, what an awesome trip. And I mean, we are going to talk about Prem and gold and metal resources in this Research Talks. We are quite premmed out this week, but, you know, fair enough. I mean, there's been a lot going on. A lot of developments. So I mean, I don't know if you want to. Maybe you want to interview me, Alan. I
think overall, I'll just sort of try and encompass or do a brief overview of the Premier investment proposition. But then, of course, I think you've had such a unique insight with your trip down there and speaking to the people working at the lithium project, and also, you know. Let's not forget a lot of the infrastructure has been built really in the past in recent months, hasn't it? So it's all come together so quickly. But I think what impressed me more than anything was, you know, if you're looking to invest into a mining company, you look at the scale of what Premier have achieved down there. The scale of the operations, you know, the infrastructure, the housing, you know, when you arrived, when you went into your accommodation, you know, it was a really nice little apartment, and and so all of that, you know, it really makes you think about what goes into putting a project like the Zulu Lithium project together, and the infrastructure, the logistics, everything with that, the connectivity, which was first class. I mean, you know, there was no issue at all with any of your broadcasts from there. So you know, it's come such a long way. But of course, Premier itself as an investment proposition, we talked about it many times. The company's currently trading at just at that 0.98 pence. It's been as high as just over a penny on the year, as low as 0.2p, giving the company market capitalization of £222 million sterling. I think what you've done this week, Mark, alone, just walking around and looking around that project down there, it gives investors a very clear idea of the huge amount of value that that this company already has. Now, this is just the Zulu Lithium project, of course. You know, Premier has other assets, but it's focused very much front and center on bringing the Zulu Lithium project to fruition. Of course, the spodumene, the processing of that you took us through, which was so key and so important. But of course, the other assets that Premier have, there's the RHA tungsten mine, and there are sort of issues there to resolve. But there is a resource there of 22 million tons at 2.45 grams per ton of tungsten, and that's taken up a huge amount of investment over the past few years. But with the other projects and also the investments that have been made, there's the Katiti rare earths project and the Tinde project, and also the investment in Circum Minerals, which Premier holds, and of course that's for an interest in the Danakil potash project in Ethiopia. But those are very much, I wouldn't say they're back burner projects, but with the acceleration of the Zulu Lithium project and that bringing that on stream, you know, that's really, as you can imagine, taken front and center of the developments for Premier. So I mean, Mark, you've had a sort of day or so to absorb everything seen down there. What was a real standout to you from the visit? You know, I think probably everything, but I mean, what do you think? What springs to mind now when you think of your trip?
I think the standout of the visit, yeah, it is everything. But I mean, from the moment I first arrived, just the sheer size and the infrastructure that's gone into the camp and the people that are there, that really surprised me. I had no idea. And I'm not sure investors had any idea, just the sheer, size of the building that's gone on there. Georgia's effectively created a little village. You know, there's satellite internet connection. There's power. It's not mains, but it's generator. But, it's solid. It's like having mains power. So you've got all this infrastructure here. You've got a little community that has evolved around this area. And then you go down and have a look at the EPO area. George took me in the Land Rover. We just sort of drove around where they've been doing trenching, historic trenching. We actually saw some trenching going on. And you can see, that the pegmatite ore body, and it stands out. It's this hard white rock, and that's what they're looking for. It's this white rock, and they were taking channel samples. And this is huge. I mean, the area where they're currently blasting and taking the ore up for processing through the plant is really tiny compared to the whole EPO area. And they're constantly moving out and looking, trying to follow the ore body. I mean, this project could be here, in my opinion, for a pretty blinking long time, really. Yeah, so there's the infrastructure on site really stood out to me. The sheer money and investment that's gone into it, all the civils, all the roads that's been put in. And of course, that's transformed the area completely. George told me that in Zimbabwe, the unemployment level is 50%. Well, in the area that Prem are operating, it's 10%. So they've, it's 90% of people are employed because of what Prem have done in the area. He said there's now a bus service going down the dirt road. And that's because, people need to be transported to work. And it's brought investment into the area. We went into the local communities and spoke to them about the transformation that has happened. And some people have been relocated because they were right next to the blast site, so it was for safety. But the other communities, they want to be relocated. It's not a bad thing. I really want to stress that. They want to be relocated because the package that Prem are doing is huge. They get a really nice double sort of separate kitchen, circular construction, and then a 4-bedroom house. They've got donated a ton of grain, of maize. It's like a year's worth of what they would farm normally. Yeah. They're putting in water boreholes. So the families are like asking, when can we be relocated? Because they want to be. And the headman is in talks with the HR department of Prem. He's got a list of things that the company are doing and a list of things that the community want to be done. They're helping fund school fees. They're doing so much in the area. And they're even helping people open bank accounts and driving them down into Bulawayo, the nearest town, helping them pay in their paychecks. There's on-site education, there's medicine there, there's on-site health and safety and sort of general, health, sort of sexual health and that kind of thing, education going on site for these guys. I mean, they are well looked after. And those were my big surprises, I think. It was just, I was amazed at how the area had transformed completely from being effectively, as George said numerous times, just pure bush, just wild bush, a year ago, to this basically thriving mini economy. And it's only just being recognised. And I think it's only just being recognised by investors, but also at government level. When I was there, the president's secretary arrived and was being driven around by the manager, because we were supposed to be having an interview with the manager, but he was otherwise engaged and entertaining the president's secretary. It's going all the way to the top now. And the president will make a visit at some point. I mean, this company's worth, $250 million? A lot of the value upside has, already been had in 3 years, but I think there's quite a lot more to come. I mean, really, I think there's quite a lot more upside to come. And certainly with the stage they're at, it's very much de-risked. I saw spodumene going into bags. Yes, they've got to optimize stuff, obviously, and get things going through at a steady and stable pace. And of course, the grades are important as well. That'll determine the end price. But George did say, we've got end product. There's a market for this end product. The grade will determine the price. But there's a market there for the product that's been produced now. There is a market there. So give them a bit of time. Let them get some more throughput going on, get the teething issues or the optimization problems out of the way, and get that first shipment off. And I think this company will be around for a long time. And I asked George about dividends or share buybacks, and he said, I would love to. I would love to pay a dividend at some point, and I'm very confident that he would do that. So from a safe as much as safe can be in this environment, obviously, or de-risked investment proposition, definitely I would say Prem stands out there. And of course, there's still further upside to go. Why can't this be a £1 billion company? It's possible.
Well, also, I mean, the one thing I think that was impressed on me, and again, I said right at the start, of course, we have a market capitalization here of £222 million, a quarter of a billion, as we're talking at the moment. But that's small fry, really, for operations of this scale. And you see other operations around the world where mines have been developed and valued on the books in the past. I mean, just one springs to mind, of course, Cadence Minerals, a Mapa iron ore project in Brazil. Anglo American valued that at $600 million on their books in 2012. So that gives you some feel for the valuation of a single project. Now, this is lithium. This iron ore is really, it's not old hat. It's still very important. But of course, lithium, a lithium project of this scale, is going to be hugely important going forward. Countries around the world are changing their infrastructure to adopt EV and electric technology, and it's going to be front and center. So this is hugely important. So to my mind, something of this scale, surely some of the major global mining corporations are going to be casting the slider all over this, and I'd be surprised if George hasn't already had overtures from some of these bigger companies in regard to potential takeover or partnership. And of course, typical partnership. You've got the Greatland Gold with the Havieron project in Australia. The Zulu Lithium project is much further down the road. The infrastructure's in place. It's all been done. It's coming out of the ground. So, but partnership, surely, a takeover, a partial takeover, a major shareholder, that's got to be on the cards pretty soon.
I agree, Alan, and why the heck not? I mean, have you seen the price of lithium as well? Just, again, everything seemed to time very well for my visit. We got the first bag of spodumene and lithium prices going insane. I mean, that's gone up. It went up over 8% just in one night. I mean, looking at the chart there, that's really started to take off. Battery grade lithium. Yeah, the market's setting up. It's all setting up, looking pretty rosy.
It is, and there is a supply squeeze. That is without doubt. There is a supply squeeze. I've looked at lots of data, and certainly these mining projects start up. The exploration work is undertaken, but actually less than 1% of all of the potential mining resources out there actually come to fruition as projects such as the Zulu Lithium project. So, it's a major achievement by George and the team down there, but it makes it all the more important given that, the lithium price is being squeezed higher simply because there isn't enough to go around. And that's the indisputable fact behind all this. And that's what makes, the Zulu Lithium project so exciting. And, potentially, as you say, when you look at an asset, you look at the resource underground, you mine the first part, or you start to blast the first part, and then you realize that the strike extends, as with Havieron and now with Zulu, it's extending off in all different directions. So, how large could the potential exploration area be? Who knows? That's what's so exciting about this. So that would of course reflect in the life of the mine, the return on investment, the capex requirement versus the return. That this is really exciting stuff now, and of course the NPV numbers for Zulu must be going through the roof.
Well, yes, I think exciting is definitely the word, Alan. I certainly feel it. It's going to be extremely exciting going forward. And as we were actually driving out, so that was on the Wednesday morning, and they just started. The contractor had a long weekend, so they'd actually just started again on the Wednesday morning, sort of starting to move the ore up from the pit. And George actually commented as we were driving out. He said, "Wow, look at that! That's the best looking spodumene I've seen up here." And you can just tell by looking at it. It's just this brilliant white rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're only at the start of this. Well, they've come a long way down the journey. They're not just at the start, but they're only at the start of a very exciting moment as they get this plant fully up and running. But yeah, I would say to everyone, stand by on Stopbox, on my Twitter page. We're going to actually create, I think, a Prem playlist on YouTube to try and Because I know media's gone out different areas, bit of Stopbox, Twitter, bit of mine, bit of Telegram. So I'm going to put all the media into one playlist on YouTube, so it's all there. We've got the full walk of the plant to come, and then we've got a sort of a news bulletin report that I'll produce, which will be about 6-7 minutes, and that'll comprise the whole picture really, plus interviews with people. But the interviews we've done with people, some of them are 15 minutes long, 20 minutes long. So I think there's even a place to have them put out in their raw format as well. And there's some little small Easter eggs, I'll call them, little small clips I grabbed on my phone just as and when George decided to explain something to me on site that will go out. So there'll be plenty of little entertaining bits to come in between the bigger pieces. But yeah, stand by. There's a lot more to come from Stopbox and me with regards to the Prem story.
Excellent. Looking forward to that, Mark. Looking forward to that. So yes. So to summarise, then of course, there's a very strong investment story with Premier African Minerals, and of course they're not. It's not a one-dimensional investment by any stretch of the imagination. We have the other projects which I briefly touched on, but I think you just look at the Zulu Lithium project alone, and to my mind, given where the project's at now, and given that the spodumene is now being blasted out of the ground. We've got that lithium rock that looks such high grade and high quality. I think the valuation of Premier, based on Zulu alone, has to be many multiples of where it is now. That's indisputable, given the way mining companies value the mines and put them on the book. So
I would agree.
So anyway, yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah.
And just a little final thought. I met a geologist who was there. He does lots of projects around different parts of the world, and we were talking about the cycles and how cyclical the sector is. And he was talking about it's a typical 7 to 8 year cycle, almost at the clock. And I said, okay, how do you know where we are in the cycle then? And he sort of said, well, I judge it because of how much work I have. I was like, okay, that's a good way to judge it. And we were talking how overrun he was with work, even just in the years post 2008. I mean, the mining sector didn't really suffer after that 2008 crash. I said, where do you think we are now then? And he said, we're right at the start of the next 7 to 8 year go. We're maybe 1 or 2 years into it. So there's another sort of 5 or 6 years to go. I said, what's your workload like? And he said, it's going mad again. Yeah. So couple everything with everything. And yeah, I mean, I'm quite excited about the upside.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We're all shareholders, and we're all looking forward to. I think it's a compelling story. You have to be involved because the infrastructure is changing. Particularly in terms of new technology, clean technology. The infrastructure is changing in countries around the world. Governments are investing billions into making those changes, and of course, the raw material is required. And mining companies are on the hunt for new projects, new assets, but there is still a shortage and there's a supply squeeze. So yeah, they're in a really good position.
Indeed.
Really good position.
Okay, well, thank you, Alan. That was a good chat. It was a bit different. Normally, I listen to you, but that worked quite well. But I'll listen to you now as you tell us about Golden Metal Resources, of course, the spin out from Power that's finally got over the line. It was obviously we were waiting for that for a long time, but they are listed.
Delighted. They finally got it over the line, Mark. It's great news. Gold Metal Resources. And of course, I've spoken to Oliver Friesen, the chief executive, as have you, and of course, Paul Johnson, who was instrumental in making this happen. Whilst the company initially is a spin-off from Power Metal Resources, it is now a company with a package of assets in Nevada in its own right, and a very compelling package of assets. But the IPO took place on Wednesday, listed with a market capitalization of 7.16 million at a placing price of 8.5p. It raised 1.98 million. Power Metal Resources, of course, still have a major stake in the company. Post IPO, they have a 62% interest in Golden Metal Resources, and of course, they're locked in for 12 months from the date of the IPO, so they won't be selling any of those shares. But of course, that means that they have that with the support of a major shareholder and investor like Power Metal, Oliver and his team will have all the resources they need to develop the assets. And what a set of assets they have. So I mentioned Nevada. Of course, the company's assets are based in the in the Walker Lane Gold Belt in Nevada, USA. It's a very mining-friendly state, and there are four key assets. The flagship asset is, of course, the Pilot Mountain project, and this is predominantly a tungsten project, but also has credits for copper, silver, and zinc, and has a JORC-compliant resource of 12.5 million tons at 0.27% tungsten to boot. And there's as we've seen with other companies that have IPO'd, First Class Metals last year is a very good case in point. There's going to be a whole load of news and developments to follow. The teams are on the ground there working these assets. So I very much expect in the coming weeks and months, we're going to see an awful lot of news flow from Oliver and the team. The other three projects are the Golconda Summit property. Now, I remember when I interviewed Oliver, he said he thought Golconda was just going to creep up on investors, quote unquote, and he believes that there's huge value here. It's a Carlin style silver and gold property located at the confluence of the Getchell and Battle Mountains. Of course, there's a famous Battle Mountain mine, which is nearby too. Either side of that, so if you're looking at it, so to the north west of the Pilot Mountain project, you have the Garfield property. That's a gold and copper property within the Walker Lane Gold Belt. And then to the southeast of the Pilot Mountain project, we have the Stonewall property, also within the Walker Lane Gold Belt. But Oliver is equally excited about all of the assets that the company's brought to market, and of course, with a flagship tungsten project with a JORC mineral resource in place, that's hugely significant, I think, for Oliver and the group. So as we go forward, hoping to see some great developments in the coming weeks. But the company has a market cap of 7 million, so that's obviously reflects the current trends with IPOs, which is listing companies at a low market cap, raising the money the company needs to undertake the necessary exploration work to develop projects to the next stage. And of course, that's now all in place to complete. So we wish Oliver and the team all the very best for the coming weeks and months, and looking forward to hearing lots more about the Pilot Mountain project, Golconda, Garfield, and Stonewall.
Indeed. Well, now he's got the money, now he's got the IPO away, we can hopefully expect to see a lot of news flow, can't we? And I'm sure you will be interviewing him, I will be interviewing him. Let's see how things go. I mean, one thing I picked up from that Mines and Money event, I think I mentioned it before, there were people there from the US government who were responsible for that critical minerals list. And they were there looking at opportunities to, get involved at a government level in projects to secure the United States supply of those critical metals, and of course tungsten being a very big part of that. So who knows? But fair play to Oliver, getting it over the line, and onwards and upwards, let's say.
Well, I think in particular, in the world we live in, of course, tungsten is a key part of. It's a key requirement for defense contractors, and the US has to buy most of its tungsten in from overseas. So having a homegrown tungsten resource like that is hugely important, I think, for the US and also, that's those sort of developments could be transformational for a company that is valued at just 7 million. The JORC resource is already established. We already know what's on the ground there. And as we said with the Zulu Lithium project, and of course, the Javieron project, once they get into the ground and start exploration, they may find that the strike area, the mineralized strike area extends in different directions. And of course, that adds further value to the project ongoing. So really exciting times.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. Wish you a pleasant weekend. The weather is still overcast in this country, in the Netherlands. I came back from beautiful blue African skies, slightly burnt, and I've come back yet again, and it's still not super warm. I don't know what's going on with the summer. It's very late to arrive.
It's very late to arrive. I was in London yesterday, meeting some colleagues yesterday, and it was absolutely beautiful here yesterday. Brilliant blue sky, really nice. But today it is more overcast, but the sun has come out here and there. But yeah, it's grey skies, but you can make out the sun behind it. So it could be raining, and it's not.
Well, we'll just have to keep waiting, won't we? Anyway, thank you very much, Alan, and I'll speak to you in a week's time.
Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.